The police car really was in the center of the street where the barricade should have been, but but it wasn't there. So what the F-150 did was he swerved still around the police cruiser, but he's on the sidewalk, hits some bodies, and then swerves onto the street and just like kind of books it down the street. Are they really caring about the safety of these people, or are we just interested in if the Sugar Bowl is going to take place? Senator Kennedy, he's already not playing. He's like, I don't want to hear from anybody in the federal government that they don't have the resources. A New Year's Eve celebration in New Orleans, Louisiana on Bourbon Street ends in the tragic death of 14 people with dozens injured. Are we getting the whole story about every single thing that is happening? Welcome to CozyCorner TV, ladies and gentlemen. I am your host, Kieran Smith, call me Q, and we are on the corner, ladies and gentlemen. This tragic incident occurred on New Year's Day. I believe this was by the time the incident had happened. It was on Bourbon Street in New Orleans, and there was some celebrations going on, a lot of people at bars, a lot of people hanging out on the street, you know, just having a good old time celebrating the new year coming in. And all of a sudden we see a white F-150 pickup truck book it down the street, and bodies are just flying everywhere. Now, I'm not giving all the details because I want you guys to hear it from some of the news channels we're going to watch. I'm going to start off with Republican Senator John Kennedy from Louisiana. He actually was down there very, very shortly after it happened, talking to the news. I believe Fox covered it. And we're going to see a couple of pieces of information being given out. Now, this is very close to when it happened. This is hours after it happened to maybe one day. But you're going to see the events kind of change based on what each person is saying. Some people are saying they think it's more than one person. Some people are saying they think it's 4 people. Some people are saying the gentleman was connected to ISIS, but he acted alone, and then he wasn't alone. So I don't want to tell too many details because I just want you guys to see just how this has been unfolding throughout the days. And it's very interesting because now it's finally started to be linked to another incident that happened in front of the Trump Tower, which at first mainstream media was telling us, no, these 2 incidents aren't linked. They're not saying there's a definite link, but now a lot more news stations are talking about them in close link together with a 3rd event. But we might not hear too much about that 3rd event today. I think they're just going to mention the Cybertruck and the incident in New Orleans. So we're going to jump right in, starting with Senator John Kennedy talking to the news about what's going on down on the ground shortly after it happens, what are his intentions and what he plans on doing. And then we're going to move over to CBS, where they kind of link the incidents that's been happening over the last couple of days together. They say there's no definite link, but they start to talk about them in unison, which at first they weren't doing. And then we're going to take a look over here where I'm going to show you guys some footage of the truck actually driving down the street and how the truck actually gets onto the street where it's able to actually start running bodies over and killing people. So let's jump right in.
Joining us now from New Orleans is Republican Louisiana Senator John Kennedy. Senator, thank you very much for taking some time out for us. We know that you're very busy talking with law enforcement on the ground. There are a lot of folks in this country tonight that are afraid of what's happening in New Orleans. And I know that you're trying to get answers tonight as police search for other potential suspects, possible co-conspirators tonight. By all accounts, with this new surveillance video we have now, with what we're learning from police, this sounds to be some sort of sleeper cell, a terrorist cell on U.S. soil. Is that what you're hearing?
Well, there's a fine line between anger and grief, and I'm pretty much straddling that line right now. If you don't believe
so a lot of people were.
All you need to do is go walk about 30 or 40 yards that way. I'm here for 2 reasons. Number 1, these are my people, and these are my people's guests. Number 2, I don't want to hear from anybody in the federal government that they don't have the resources. Now, the White House, the FBI, Justice, Home...
Senator Kennedy, he's already not playing. He's like, I don't want to hear from anybody in the federal government that they don't have the resources. He's already coming out hot.
Homeland Security are in charge now. We're cooperating with them. I want to give them a reasonable period of time. There's a lot of information out there. Some of it is actually true. I want to give them a reasonable period of time, but they need to saddle up and ride. We need to find out what happened here, and it's not going to be covered up. We're going to tell the American people exactly what happened, and that's why I'm down here.
Yeah.
And Senator Kennedy, he's not being facetious there when he says it's not going to be covered up. If you've ever watched Republican Senator John Kennedy and any type of hearings dealing with the House, he's very blunt. He's very straightforward. A lot of the 2 assassination attempts that happened on Donald Trump's life, he was very straightforward in those court hearings. You know, if he thought that something didn't seem right, or if it was off, or it seemed fishy, I mean, he was coming for them. He's pretty known for that when he's in his court hearings.
We know a lot more than what's being reported, Aisha, but they are in the middle of an active investigation, and I don't want to do anything to screw it up.
Okay.
But I'm also not going to let them take the pressure off.
Okay, got it, Senator. You did promise transparency earlier in the press conference that you took part in this afternoon. Are you getting the sense that the FBI have been tracking this suspect, or are you getting the sense that they perhaps somehow missed this?
I can't answer that. I can't answer that, but I shouldn't. I'm going to say it again, Aisha. We're giving the FBI and Homeland Security a reasonable amount of time to do their job. And by God, they're going to do their job. And they're going to...
Now, they're kind of probing Senator Kennedy here. You know, she's asking questions like, you know, do you think that maybe this was a sleeper cell? Perhaps the FBI, CIA was keeping track of this guy, and, you know, he was dormant for a while, and maybe he just went active. Later on, they start asking him questions like, do you think that he could have possibly been a trigger, meaning that once he commits his terrorist attack, it kind of sets off other terrorists to now attack other areas of the United States or what have you. And it's also important to mention at this point in time where I'm currently at covering, this is, like I said, this is probably a couple hours after it happened. The FBI says we do not believe suspect was solely responsible. So at this point in time, they're saying that they don't believe he acted by himself. You're going to hear Senator John Kennedy say they think it's about 3 or 4 people involved. But then I said, as the events keep going throughout the days, I think now we're about 2 or 3 days ahead of it, you start to see different things happen. Like now it's, oh, maybe he did act alone, which I have some opinion about why that was changed. I wasn't appreciative of that because there was a certain event going on around that time. And I was wondering, are they really caring about the safety of these people, or are we just interested in if the Sugar Bowl is going to take place? So they're going to probe Senator Kennedy a little bit more, and then we're going to move on to what CBS has to say.
Catch these people.
Is the
FBI a whole lot more in the next 4 to 8 hours.
Senator, is the FBI being transparent with you?
You know, you never know. You just never know what they're not telling us. But I know how to probe pretty hard and get the information. I'm not interested in placing blame or saying who was right or wrong. I just want to catch these sons of bitches who did this.
Yeah, there is an active manhunt, it sounds like, right now for some of these. We don't know how many. We were told a range of suspects, perhaps 3 or 4. We know there's surveillance video out there showing some of these folks laying down IEDs around the front.
They think they're 3, maybe 4. Okay. I was disappointed early this morning. Someone with the FBI said very confidently there's no chance this is a terrorist attack. Well, they've taken that back, thank God. They were a little quick on the trigger. But we think now that there were probably 4, maybe 5 people involved.
Yeah. So let's be realistic here. Just you're a straight shooter. So shoot straight with the people of New Orleans and Louisiana right now. Governor Landry says that there will be a Sugar Bowl tomorrow afternoon, that he'll be there and it will be safe. Is that realistic right now, given the circumstances?
No, it's not.
We decided to postpone it by 24 hours.
Now, at this point, she asked about the Sugar Bowl, and that is a series of college football games that takes place in New Orleans. And she asked Senator Kennedy, is this realistic? Like, the Sugar Bowl is supposed to take place, and like pretty soon in the next 24 hours, I think it was at this point. And she asked Senator Kennedy, is it possible for this to happen? Is it safe? In my opinion, I said it wasn't safe. Now, a lot of that is from some prior military training that I have, spending time in the Marine Corps. A lot of you guys on my channel know that. Some of you guys that have been here with me longer, some don't. But based on this type of threat, I would say there's no way that a sugar bowl should be happening. Here, Senator Kennedy said they're going to put it off for 24 hours, and I believe that's what they did. But the part that I didn't like was about a day later, then they started saying, oh no, we're absolutely sure that this man acted alone, but it was because the Sugar Bowl was due to take place in about 2 hours when they said that. So this was a little bit concerning for me.
Day, the governor made that decision. He's doing a great job. He's in charge here at the state level. And I want to be fair to our federal officials and give them a chance. But, you know, I sat there and watched a 21-year-old kid outsmart the entire Secret Service of the United States and almost killed a former president and soon-to-be current president.
Right.
And we still don't have information. And that's not going to happen this time. By God, it's not going to happen this time. I will chase these people like they stole my dog until we find out what went on here. But I want to be fair and work with them, and let's give them a chance to catch these guys.
And just
or gals. One may have been a woman.
So we see there, he says one may have been a woman. And for the record, now we know how much Senator Kennedy likes his dog, because he said he'll chase him down. So again, he's not being facetious. During the trials, when he was questioning the FBI about the Donald Trump assassination, he felt this way. A lot of things came out that the FBI had not unleashed. A lot of things they were holding on to. A lot of things they did not know. And Senator Kennedy was very vocal in those court hearings about how it was completely irresponsible for them to not have certain information that he was asking for. There were senators that were asking them questions about distance and asking them questions about weapons, and they just could not answer the questions. So Senator Kennedy was very upset about that. He really felt like they were doing a disservice to the American people by not answering these questions. So he's not being facetious when he says it's not going to happen. I'm going to make sure that it doesn't happen. He means it, because they were really upset about how things went on with the assassination of Trump. So now we're going to jump to what CBS has to say about it.
Continuing to follow the very latest developments in two fatal attacks that took place on New Year's Day. The first that we're going to talk about is a Tesla Cybertruck explosion in front of the Trump International Hotel in Las Vegas. It injured several people and killed the driver. The second was an ISIS-linked domestic terror attack in New Orleans that took the lives of 14 victims. The vehicles used in both incidents were rented using the same app, and each involved U.S.-born military servicemen who served in Afghanistan around the same time. Now, despite the parallels of these attacks.
Now, they're going to say despite the parallels of these attacks, there's no definitive link. It says it right here. No definitive link found between NOLA attack and Vegas Cybertruck explosion, right? Except both men were in the military. Both men were deployed at the same time, not the same unit. At some point before being deployed, both men were on the same Army base. Both men had rented vehicles. So there seems to be actually a lot of things here that are congruent. And the fact that they're saying like, hey, you know, there's no definitive link. I get it. You know, they're trying to downplay. They're trying to downplay it a little bit. They don't want you know, anxiety to rise up in people and get people all stirred up and worked up, and then the craze starts going on, which is kind of there because people are like, what is happening? A lot of people are noticing like, hey, this almost looks like there's a trigger of events happening. So they're going to talk more about how there's no definitive link, even though there very much is.
FBI officials say at this point, there is no definitive link. Republican House Homeland Security Committee Chairman Mark Green was asked about this on CBS Mornings today. Here's what he had to say about it.
These gentlemen, both in Vegas and in New Orleans, were in the military, assigned to Fort Bragg at the same time, but two separate units. Yep. We also know they deployed to Afghanistan at about the same time, so they were at the same base in Afghanistan. I think the real key now is for military Central Investigation Division, CID, to dig into that, see if they were associated while they were in the military, and see if there are other folks that might have been radicalized about the same time.
Okay, so let's bring in CBS News crime and public.
So I think the point that that last gentleman brought up was really good. Now he's asking them to kind of dig into, hey, see if these guys were associated at any point in time, because a lot of things are congruent in the military at the same time. Same branch of the military, same military base at one point domestically, same military base they were stationed at when they were both on foreign soil. When it comes to the attacks, both vehicles were rented. From what I understand, both vehicles were rented from the same app. So there's a lot of things that are congruent now, which I think that the gentleman saying, hey, let's see if these guys ever hung out, if they have people in common, if they were ever closely associated other than what we're seeing now. I guess the real question is, why wasn't that kind of like the first thing? Because once you see all of these things matching up, the next thing would be, okay, same app, rented vehicles. Wait a minute, same branch of the military. I can see if one was in the Air Force and one was in the Marine Corps, but same branch of the military, same duty station domestically, same duty station on foreign soil. I'm like, hey, the math is actually mathing. So they're not telling us everything, and they never do, and we know that. But we're starting to get a lot of information as everything keeps unfolding. I want to go to this video here because this video is the video that shows a clear access way as to how the gentleman, now this is in New Orleans, how he got onto the road where he was able to actually start running people over. So apparently during this celebration, normally in New Orleans near Bourbon Street, they would have certain barricades that were out at this time. That's like the normal course of action. But at the time, these barricades were being replaced. So the barricades were not there. Instead, they placed a squad car there where the barricade would be at. Now, when I first saw this video with my wife, I thought that the police car was on the corner and the F-150 kind of just swerved around the police car and then just hit the street and booked it. But the police car really was in the center of the street where the barricade should have been, but it wasn't there. So what the F-150 did was he swerved still around the police cruiser, but he's on the sidewalk, hits some bodies, and then swerves onto the street and just like kind of books it down the street. This was the best video I can find where it gives us like a clear picture of what the F-150 is doing. So let's check it out. I'm going to use the mouse to kind of follow the car. So here's the F-150 right here.
It's New Year's Day, and a white pickup truck is stuck in traffic. The streets are busy with revelers in the French Quarter, the most famous tourist destination in New Orleans. The truck passes a police car and it suddenly turns right, plowing in.
So there's a police car right here, and the truck just kind of like comes over a little bit, hits that like a real sharp immediate right, plows into some people, and he's gonna like keep going so he can head down the street.
To people. In the security camera video, you can see how fast it's going and how escaping its path is just a matter of split-second timing or luck.
A truck hits the corner and comes barreling through people, throwing people like a movie scene, like real life, throwing people into the air, they falling under the car, all of that.
You just heard this squeal and like the rev of an engine, and then this huge loud impact, and then the people scream and debris, just metal, the sound of crunching metal and bodies.
At about 3:15 a.m., the driver's pickup truck drove down Canal Street and then right into Bourbon Street. A police car was stationed there to block other vehicles as the usual security barriers were being replaced.
So we can see it here. This is in the first part of the video where I was pointing out the F-150 was driving. I thought the cop car was right here on the corner posted up, but he's actually right here in the center where the barricade or the barrier would be. Normally these things are made out of strict cement. So if there were to be a car or a truck that would try to do what this F-150 did, it would be completely damaged. It wouldn't even be able to get over the barrier, but it wasn't there, so the police car was there. So he comes, he just hits an immediate sharp right, like kind of books it right past the police car. He's on the sidewalk right here, hits a couple people, and then goes on the street, and he just starts booking it down the street. And I mean, he's booking it. Like, this is a F-150. I have a truck, like, and my truck is bigger than an F-150. So to see an F-150 move that fast, I was like, man, this dude was really trying to like hurt people. I mean, we know he was and he did, but just to see it in real time like that is just crazy. He was booking it.
But the driver mounted the pavement to get past. He then accelerated, the FBI said, with the aim of running over as many people as possible.
All this way.
The driver then crashed the vehicle and was killed in a shootout with police. 2 improvised bombs were found in beer coolers nearby. Police said the truck was rented and carrying weapons and explosives. An Islamic State flag was attached to the back.
The FBI also reported to me that mere hours before the attack, he posted videos on social media indicating that it is inspired by ISIS, expressing a desire to kill.
2 police officers were injured in the subsequent shootout with the driver, who was wearing army camouflage and body armor.
I got at least maybe 12 to 15 people hit by the vehicle.
Bourbon Street was strewn with the dead and injured. This attack possibly imitating previous ones in Europe, including one on a German market 2 weeks ago. Investigators say the driver also planted the nail bombs and that he was acting alone. He's been named as Shamsuddin Jabbar, aged 42, from Texas. He served in Afghanistan with the US Army, and in 2020 he became an estate agent, here confidently promoting himself online.
I've been here all my life, with the exception of traveling for the military, where I spent 10 years as a human resources specialist and IT specialist, where I learned the meaning of great service and what it means to be responsive and take everything seriously, dotting I's and crossing T's to make sure that things go off without a hitch.
Police have been searching Jabbar's home here in Houston. Those who knew him said he had financial problems and had converted to Islam. He also posted videos online to explain his attack.
There were 5 videos posted on Jabbar's Facebook account, which are time-stamped beginning at 1:29 a.m. and the last at 3:02 a.m. In the first video, Jabbar explains he originally planned to harm his family and friends, but was concerned the news headlines would not focus on the, quote, war between the believers and the disbelievers, end quote. Additionally, he stated he had joined ISIS before this summer. He also provided a will and testament.
Even though the suspect was American-born, Donald Trump blamed immigration under Joe Biden. Radical Islamic terrorism and other forms of violent crime will become so bad in America that it will become hard to even imagine or believe, he wrote. That time has come, only worse than ever imagined. Among the dead was 18-year-old Nikira Dedeau, who had finished high school and was about to start a nursing degree.
So they kind of go into a couple of the victims who had passed away. We also have this gentleman here. He played for Princeton on the football team. The young lady they just mentioned who was just done with high school. And I kind of watched where as they went through the victims and talked about where they were at in their lives when this tragic event happened. This was just horrible. And I mean, it was so graphic. They didn't show a lot. Like I was able to find some things, but I can see why the more footage I found of the event, the more I was able to see why they just weren't gonna full on just air it, because it was pretty gruesome. You kind of just see bodies laying everywhere. Some people are standing over their friends and their loved ones, like waiting for someone to come to their aid, so hopefully don't die. But it looks like the ones that the F-150 was able to hit, was able to impact, that those people actually did die. I believe it was 36 injured. I'm not sure if the death toll went up to 15. I know at the time it was 14. But I'm dying to know what you guys think about this. I'm sure some of you already have some opinions about what happened, what's going on. There are rumors swerving around. It seems to be that this was a trigger. It seems to be that after one attack happened, we've just started to see attacks occur. Now, perhaps throughout the coming weeks, it won't keep going on. We are fairly close to Inauguration Day, so it could be getting interesting because of that reason. Some people are worried about President-elect Trump. So I'm dying to know what you guys think about this. I don't want to take too much time up because I want you guys to light that comment section up. I'm eager to see where you guys are with this. What do you think about the Cybertruck incident with the Leibelsberger? I have a video coming soon that I think you guys are gonna enjoy. Sean Ryan did something just a few hours ago with a warrant officer, I believe he is, and I mean they covered it beautifully. He has a lot of information. I'm not going to react to the whole thing, but I am going to bring it to you guys so we can see another side of the Cybertruck incident. But what do you guys think about this? The terrorist attack, right, in New Orleans. First, it's an ISIS flag. He's alone. Then it's like 4 or 5 people, maybe a woman, and then it's for sure he's alone because they want to have the Sugar Bowl. As far as the Cybertruck incident, This man actually reached out to someone trying to tell them his story, and Sean Ryan, along with Pete Hegseth, and I think Fox News was brought up, was one of the people that the gentleman Livelsberger said he wanted to speak with. Like, he was actually trying to get in touch with Sean Ryan, trying to get in touch with Pete Hegseth. That's not hearsay. I didn't just hear that from somewhere. It's off of the next video that I'm going to bring you guys to react to. So I can't wait to see what are some of your comments about this right here. What do you guys think about how they've covered this, how we've seen them, you know, kind of change as the days go on, you know, the facts, the findings, which we know mainstream media does. I'm just dying to know what you guys think about it. So I appreciate you guys stopping by, chilling on the corner with me. Light up that comment section, guys. And until next time, be peaceful. Take care of yourselves. Love one another. Peace.